Hi everyone, welcome to my coaching channel. Today we're going to talk about the different domains of strengths. And so there are actually 4 types, but today we're going to be specifically talking about the strategic thinking themes. If you're new to strengths and want to learn more about what domains are, check out this video up here before diving into this content. But for those who are ready, let's talk about strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is all about the talents that exist and live in our head. It's how we use our thoughts and ideas and how we need time to ourselves to think of the next best decision or next plan. So these talents come the most alive when people have time to think for themselves, they have some space and time for reflection. If you're looking at one of your strengths reports and you took the strengths assessment, the strategic thinking strengths are colored in green. There are 8 themes in strategic thinking, and we're going to start with the first one, analytical. Those who lead with analytical are great at finding causes and reasons. They're going to think intentionally about all the factors that might impact a situation. These are the folks who are strong advocates for data and proof and evidence. They're going to be saying, what if this happens? Do we have a plan for A, B, and C if A doesn't work? So analytical is not going to miss any gaps. They're going to work and think hard to ensure nothing has been skipped. Those with analytical are always going to be wanting to answer this one question. Do we have the right information to make the right decision? For example, let's say you and your friends are on a hike and you're enjoying this hike, it's wonderful, but the clouds start coming in. Your friend who has analytical as one of their top 5 strengths is the person who's going to be pulling out their phone and looking at the weather app. They're the ones who's going to say, hey friends, it's actually going to start raining at 7. So I think we have just enough time to go up the hill, but y'all, we got to turn right back down to not get caught in the rain. Next, let's talk about context. Those who lead with context enjoy thinking about the past. And because of this, they love to rely on evidence, previous examples, and history to determine how to solve present problems. They enjoy learning about the past, and they might be the friend who watches the History Channel, Netflix documentaries, and beyond. But in a work context, context might show up as a team member saying, hey, didn't that bug happen in a previous application last January? Let's go back to that data and see if that same solution might work for this one. Context relies on the past because they genuinely believe and think that if they can learn from the past, you can apply it to any situation in the present moment. Speaking of the past, now let's talk about the future. Those who lead with futuristic are inspired by what is possible. They use their imagination to guide the present moment. Folks who lead with futuristic as a strength have this really wonderful way of energizing those around them to get on board with an idea of possibility and opportunity. So this might show up in a way for someone who maybe always wanted to start a restaurant business. They're thinking that their mom and family would have a great time using their recipes, making the food together, and eventually making a business out of it. That idea, using their imagination, is what they rely on to make the next best step to make that dream a reality. Those who lead with context love connecting the dots. This is a strength about seeing possibilities. Folks who lead with context tend to be creative and innovative. They do not see barriers or problems as barriers or problems. They see those elements as opportunities for something greater, for something different, for something unique. And so these are great people to rely on when you do hit a roadblock. For example, let's say it's a rainy day and you are going to have a picnic outside. You can count on someone with ideation to have fun with you all in the house with charades and games and board games, for example. This is the person who's going to come up with a fun, creative solution when you feel like you're down and out. Those who lead with input are collectors. They love collecting relationships, informations, and items, perhaps to be used at a later point in time. These are the folks who tend to be strong observers and have a strong memory. Now let's talk about a few examples of input. Input can show up as someone who has a garage full of bolts and tools, something that they say, I do not want to give this up or sell it because I just might need it one day. Or input might show up as the friend who has one-of-a-kind collector cards like Pokemon or baseball. But in another way, let's bring some magic into this. For those of you who watched Harry Potter, you might remember Hermione's magical bag and purse. And often in these movies, Hermione would just open up this bag and pull out anything that Ron or Harry needed. That is what input is all about. They love collecting as many resources as possible because they genuinely believe and think that this resource that they learned or gained can be used in the future to help somebody else. Folks who lead with intellection love to think. They enjoy having intellectual, thoughtful discussions. Folks who lead with this strength need that individual time to themselves to really reflect over a problem or situation they might be dealing with. They appreciate quiet solo time to ensure they really have all their thoughts well out before they are communicating to them. For example, this might be the friend who loves to talk about politics or society over Thanksgiving dinner. Intellection is also the person at the meeting who says, wow, this is a big problem. Why don't we take just 5 minutes to gather our thoughts before we respond? I love talking about learner. I see that learner is such a joyous strength. They generally just love to learn, like to try new things, and enjoy the process. Those who lead with learner aren't necessarily about the destination. They're all about the journey and the process of just trying something new and exploring. That's why I say learner is all about joy, because they tend to be people who are very in the present moment. Learner might show up as someone who wants to play a few songs on guitar and piano, and that's a hobby for a month and they let it go. That's okay too. But learner also has a little bit of a serious side in that if there is a situation or a conflict, they're going to take the time to learn as much as possible to ensure they can make the next best decision when they can't. But overall, learner is about enjoying the day-to-day experience of living life and learning new things. Last but not least, let's talk about strategic. Strategic is all about focusing on the decisions that are the most productive and the most effective. Those who lead with strategic are not afraid of conflict or barriers or problems because to them, they're just going to say, okay, well, what's the next best decision and work our energy towards that. They're able to proceed moving forward to not just any decision, but honestly, with the best and most effective one. They're going to really take their time to think through all the options to ensure the next best decision is the one that's going to be the most successful for your team. For example, strategic might show up as the friend who says, hey, if the car can't get fixed, why don't we take the train home and enjoy the views? That's a wrap on all 8 of these strategic thinking strengths. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Speaking of new, did any of these strengths sound like you? Please share below in the comments to share, and I would love to learn more from you and about your experiences. Now, stay tuned for the upcoming domains and don't miss out. And to make sure you don't miss on the following videos, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you can continue learning with us about strengths.